Los Angeles Rams come to Cincinnati's Paycor Stadium for Monday Night Football. Sean McVay, head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, and Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, are intimately familiar with each other. Zach Taylor coached on Sean McVay's coaching staff. They have a great amount of respect and admiration for each other's abilities. Will that be a factor that they know each other so well? They know what the other might be thinking during the course of the game? Potentially, but the players are the ones that have to make the plays on the football field. That's going to be where the rubber meets the road. Let's talk about some keys to this game against the Rams on Monday Night Football. In my mind, the biggest key, play with the lead. The Bengals have played 120 minutes of football against two division opponents. 7,200 seconds of football. They have not led for one of those seconds. I mean, it's crazy. Score first. It'd be great to get the ball in the opening kickoff. In my mind, that's fine. You know, if you win the toss and you want to get it to start the second half, totally understand that. In that instance, hold Matthew Stafford and the Rams offense to a 3-and-out, get the football and score. Score on your first possession. Get the lead right away. Calling plays with a lead is a much different dynamic than not. Believe me, it's easier to stay balanced with your run-pass ratio. There's no question about that. And that's what has to happen, no matter who's at quarterback. If it's Joe Burrow, if it's Jake Browning, if it's Will Grier, whoever it is, balance at quarterback is a big, big factor. Balance in the play calling for the person at the quarterback position is a big, big deal. In the last game against the Ravens, the Bengals ran the ball 15 times for 66 yards. I mean, they were efficient. 4.4 is a good average per carry. 15 rushes, 41 passes. On the flip side of it, Baltimore Ravens ran it 37 times for 178 yards, 4.8 per rush, and a touchdown. And they threw it 33 times. Now, some of those rushes were pass play calls initially, but Lamar Jackson said, I can take advantage of this lane and abuse it. And this guy can make you miss in the closet. He is quicker than a hiccup. The Bengals never sacked him because of that short space quickness that he has. He's unbelievable. And Todd Monken has got that 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver set now that's spreading the field and making it tougher to load the box up with more rushers and bodies in the lanes. He's making it tougher to pack the middle of the football field. And Lamar Jackson abused the middle of the football field when he ran, scrambled up the middle, when he threw the ball up the middle, when the Ravens ran the ball in the middle of the football field. Monken's doing a pretty good job of spreading the field and making it tougher to cloud and muddy up the middle of that football field. There's no question about it. You got to be able to run the football against the Rams because they have a guy at defensive tackle named Aaron Donald. You got to anchor that guy. And you have to make him honor and respect the running game a little bit, or he is just going to pin his ears back, rush the passer every single snap. That's tough duty. That's a brutal assignment. That's a long day, man. You got to run it at him to anchor him a little bit and try to slow him down from a pass rush standpoint. Joe Mixon has run the ball well when he's had opportunities in the first couple of weeks. He's been finishing runs. He's been running with a low pad level and a good body lean, and he's been doing that consistently. So let's get Joe going. Joe Mixon, in a good running game, takes a lot of the burden and responsibility and a lot of the pressure off the shoulders of Joe Burrow, who's nursing a calf problem, or Jake Browning, who's going to be making his first NFL pass attempt. Whoever the quarterback is, a quarterback's best friend is a running game that the opposing defense has to account for, has to have some sort of level of respect for. Got to get that part of it done. Play a clean game. Penalties and turnovers, they haven't been numerous. I mean, the Bengals have 9 penalties in the first 2 games. That's tied for 7th fewest in the NFL. That's pretty good. 50 yards in penalty yards, just a half a football field. That's fourth in the National Football League. But they've been brutally costly. You have no margin for error the way this football team's playing right now. They're not executing to the level that they need to execute at in terms of snap by snap basis with 22 variables going on every single snap. The thing that you can't introduce is a self destruction by turnover or penalty at an inopportune time. They haven't been numerous, but they've been costly. Joe Burrow, his first interception of the season was a red zone interception. It's the only giveaway of the game through a red zone interception. That was a turning point against Baltimore because Baltimore came right back and 52-yard pass play set them up for a touchdown. That was a 10 to 14-point swing when it was a 3-point game. The Bengals were driving with the football to either tie it up or to take a lead, and that interception occurred. The personal foul on defensive lineman Zach Carter, hands to the face mask of the offensive lineman, took away the only turnover of the day for the Bengals. The Bengals had a takeaway. They had a fumble, and it would have been a short field. It was either in the red zone or just outside the red zone going in to score, and it was nullified by penalty. So avoid the turnovers, avoid the penalties, and play as clean a football game as you possibly can. The Bengals are in pretty good shape. I mean, they got 2 takeaways and 1 giveaway. They're +1 in the turnover department. That's tied for 11th in the National Football League. The Los Angeles Rams don't have a takeaway this year in the first 2 games. They haven't taken the football away from the opponent. Don't be the first one. Don't be the first one that the Rams victimize. They got 2 giveaways. They're -2 on the season. That's tied for 23rd in the National Football League. Bengals special teams, they've been special. They got to stay special against the LA Rams. The LA Rams value special teams as well. Chase Blackburn, he won 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants as a big special teams contributor. He's a coach special teams, assistant coach with the Titans, the Panthers. It's a big part of what they do. But the Bengals right now are number 2 in the NFL in punt returns, courtesy of an 81-yard return for a touchdown. Pretty nice. They're 11th in kickoff returns. They're 5th covering punts. They're tied for 1st covering kickoffs. Pretty nice. That's a pretty good rankings across the board for the Cincinnati Bengals. And that helps determine and dictate field position. You want to have an average drive start that is better than the opponent. And right now the Bengals are suffering in that regard. They're losing the average drive start by about a 9-yard differential, almost a first down between where their possession starts and where the opponent's possession starts on a possession by possession basis over the first 2 games. So that has to improve. Got to make sure you control the line of scrimmage. I mean, Baltimore rushed for 192 yards. The Bengals are giving up an average of 192 yards a game, 5 yards per snap in the running game. Now, again, they've played probably 2 of the best running teams in the National Football League in the first 2 games. Teams that their bread and butter is a big part of it is running the football. And they've been playing with a lead. And they've been playing with a 2-score lead, 10 points or more in the first 2 football games. That all has to change. You can't let the Rams get off on their running game and let Matthew Stafford throw because he wants to. You got to make him throw because he has to. There's a big difference there, and how you can put pressure on him. Matthew Stafford is number 2 in attempts in the National Football League, tied for 4th in completions, and has the 3rd most yards over the first 2 games. This guy can still spin it. There are no 2 ways about that. Puka Nacua, 25 catches, number 1 in the NFL, 266 yards, number 2 in the NFL in his first 2 weeks. Amazingly, he hasn't recorded a touchdown pass yet. Tutu Atwell, 13 catches, 196 yards. 13 catches, tied for ninth best in the NFL. 196 yards, seventh best in the NFL. Nakua, 25 catches, is a record for rookies in their first two games. Pretty strong. He's the first rookie ever to have double-digit receptions and over 100 or more 100 or more receiving yards in each of his first two career games. That is crazy. In his first contest, 10 catches, 119 yards. Last week, 15 for 147. Man, he's Cooper Kupp. He's the guy that Matthew Stafford's leaning on right now. He has utmost confidence in this rookie, like he had in Cooper Kupp. Time of possession has been a killer for the Cincinnati Bengals in the first two contests. And again, it's because you're down 2 scores. Teams can run the football. They can milk the clock and make it difficult for you to come back. The Bengals only had 7 possessions against the Baltimore Ravens. Here's how the possessions broke down. The Bengals had 2 possessions in the first quarter, 1 in the second quarter, 2 in the third quarter, 2 in the fourth quarter. And that's pretty much standard operating procedure against the Baltimore Ravens. For the season, the Los Angeles Rams are averaging a time of possession of 36 minutes and 17 seconds, best in the National Football League. They are possessing the football. They're making life a lot easier for their defensive football team. The Bengals are possessing it for 25 minutes and 33 seconds, 28th in the National Football League. They're not doing their defensive football team any favors. Got to stay on the football field. Okay, so third down. That's the money down, right? That's the down that you got to execute to stay on the football field. Against Baltimore, for the Bengals, it was it was Baltimore's offense, I should say, in the football game. The defense struggled in that regard on third down. Baltimore converted 9 out of 14, over 64%. They converted 8 out of 9 when it was third down and 1 to 4 yards. 8 out of 9. So Baltimore was doing a good job on first and second down, making it third and manageable. Got to get the Rams into third and long. Even a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, get him into third and 7 or more repeatedly, it becomes tougher and tougher. The play sheet becomes, it constricts. You only have so many plays that you can call. Bengals offensively were much better on third down last week against Baltimore than they were against Cleveland. They converted 13%, a little over 13% on third down against Cleveland. Against Baltimore, 10 of 15. Pretty good. 66.7%, 2 out of every 3. Explosives, where are they? Explosives, chunks, where are they? Joe Burrow is 0 for 6 on passes of 20 yards or more this season. Is the calf a factor? Is coverage a factor? Everything's a factor. There's no question about it. But that's not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is, in 2021, when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, he led the National Football League with an average of 8.9 yards per pass attempt. Not completion. He was averaging almost 9 yards every time he dropped back to pass. When he completed it, he was well into the double digits per completion. This year, 4.22, less than half. The Bengals have had 3 plays of 20 yards or more in 8 quarters. 3 plays, a 32-yard pass to Joe Mixon, a 22-yard run by Joe Mixon, and a 20-yard pass to T. Higgins. That's it. That's the only explosives in the passing game. Plays of 20 yards or more. And Joe, of course, had one of them that was a run of 22 yards. Against Cleveland, they only had 5 plays of 10 yards or more. Just 5. I mean, usually you're going to have, 15. At least a dozen. 5 plays of 10 yards or more. Red zone. Los Angeles Rams. Been there 6 times. scored 5 touchdowns. Tied for best percentage in the National Football League, 83.3%. When they get in the red zone, Stafford has them scoring. Defensively, they've allowed the opponent in the red zone 7 times. They scored 4 touchdowns. It's tied for 12th. Allowed 4 touchdowns, I should say. Tied for 12th in the NFL, 57.1%. The Bengals had no red zone opportunities against the Cleveland Browns. They got in the red zone 4 times against Baltimore, scored 2 touchdowns. 50% conversion rates, tied for 21st in the league. Defensively, they've allowed people in the red zone 7 times and have allowed 5 touchdowns. 71.4%, tied for 23rd best in the league. Defensively, red zone defense has been much better than that. I know it's a small sample size, and I know that number is going to get better. Have to do better in the red zone, both offensively and defensively. Probably the biggest thing in my mind is Stafford is got just unbelievably gifted with respect to arm talent. I mean, this guy can spin the ball, man. He's unbelievable. He's not a jugs gun anymore, but he has got plenty of zip on that football, and he can put it in tight spots. You have to pressure the guy. The Bengals didn't get a sack against Lamar Jackson last week. Now, a lot of it was due to Lamar Jackson's mobility. I mean, they had pressure on him sometimes. He just pulled it, and he was like a human joystick, making people miss, getting up the middle, just breaking it to the outside. I mean, he's unique. He's one of one in my mind in that regard. Stafford is not like that. He's not a statue. I mean, he's got athleticism, but he doesn't have that kind of mobility that Lamar Jackson has, but he does get the ball out of his hand quickly. He does make his reads. He gets through his progression. He gets the ball out. They allowed 59 sacks last season. This year, Stafford's been sacked 1 time. You're going to have to put more pressure on him than that. Sacked 1 time in 2 games. That's a good job by the quarterback and the offensive line and tight ends and running backs, everybody that's involved in the protection scheme, as well as receivers. If they see the blitz pre-snap and decide to just route on the same page as the quarterback, there's a myriad of things that go on that either allow a quarterback to be pressured and sacked, or the offense wins the snap instead of the defense. Who executes better? The defense punches, the offense counterpunches with whatever, protection, hot reads, all the things we just talked about. Bengals have to do a good job of winning in those areas. Offensively, they did a pretty good job with the Ravens. Burrow gets sacked 1 time, got hit 4 times. So if Joe Burrow's in there at the quarterback position, trying to play, tough it out, he is physically and mentally tough as anybody. Reward him. Don't make him pay. Keep him clean. If it's Browning, give him plenty of time. Give him more time than you think you need to give him. Same thing with, I don't care who's playing the quarterback position. Will Grier, same deal. Give the quarterback more time than you think you need to give him. It's on the O-line. It's on the protection schemes. Like I said, it's not just always on the offensive line. It's on the quarterback too. If spread the field, they bring one more than you can block, quarterback's responsible for that free runner. Get the ball out. You may get hit, but don't take the sack. This game's vitally important to the Bengals. Got to get it in the W column. Monday Night Football. The world's watching. Time to get the dub. Get on that track. And again, the biggest way to get the W, play with a lead. Play with a lead. Score first. Hasn't happened this year. That's step number 1 to turning the whole thing around. Let's see what happens. Hello, everyone. Dave Lapham here. Hope you're excited for what is sure to be another thrilling Bengals season. We look forward to another year of In the Trenches presented by First Star Logistics, but we wanted to give you some big news. This season, You'll find our interviews and keys to Bengals victory on In the Trenches in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, along with our growing team of Joe Goodberry's Bengals on the Brain and Malik Wright's State of the Jungle. Also, the great folks at First Star Logistics have big plans this season with special giveaways each week the Bengals play. So be sure to visit both channels and our social media pages to stay updated on all giveaways and the latest news on the Bengals. So be sure to subscribe to the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, as after this season, it'll become the channel that will host all our content. Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.